Hey everybody, this is John for MTG Nexus, doing a short deck tech for the two leagues that I played last night, as this is a separate video than the original part of the league, so we're doing a quick deck tech. Special reminder, if you're new to the channel, please consider subscribing, give us a thumbs up, leave a constructive comment down below. So we aim to be on the most informative Pioneer and Modern channel on the YouTubes. So this week we are doing part of our 50 decks in 50 weeks thing for 2020. We are doing 25 Modern decks, 25 Pioneer decks. This is the first of the Pioneer decks. This is Chonky Red, Mono Red Midrange, whatever you wish to call it. This is the current top tier deck in the Pioneer format, much like last week when we had Urza Oko or Wurza or whatever you wanted to call it, whenever the Simic Urza Oko decks were before they were banned. So the big thing about this deck is instead of being more traditional mono red, which is usually a low to the ground aggro deck, this is a much more mid-range curve deck that is basically playing every powerful red drop from 1 to 5. Some of these lists have been playing things like Ember Cleave and such, and I think those versions were much more powerful when the list was also playing Legion Warboss. I think it's a little bit harder to play. Uh, Ember Cleave, it's definitely a closer, but this deck is all about value. Everything beyond Soulscar Mage and the couple of burn spells, everything in this deck is value. Chain Whirler has value when it comes into play. Gravel Master generates a token even if they kill it the next turn. Bone Crusher Giant can be a shock plus a 4/3 body. Tall Burn can be, make all your threats that much more impactful. Your Chandra can come in and kill something, start accruing you card advantage, come in plus for mana, allow you double spell on a turn. Glorybringer could come in and be a 4/4 flyer, also come in and be a Doomblade plus a flyer. This entire deck, and then obviously Karizev, tax for 3, gives you a token in return, so, this whole deck is value. Ramen Up Ruins allows you to pop your opponent. Mutavault is a mana source that serves as damage. Castle Embereth allows you to pump up your team, putting more damage without putting more threats on the field against deck like control decks or decks that have killed a bunch of your threats when you're trading off in these kind of mid-range mirrors. So deck is all about value. Reason you're playing Soulscar Mage over something like Monastery of Spear is the static ability on Soulscar Mage allowing you to shrink things. It allows you to kill X5s, X6s, things that otherwise red decks would have problems with. This card oftentimes prompts a removal spell because your opponent just can't let it play. Even against something like Golgari Soul Flare, if they land a Soul Flare that's like indestructible but doesn't have hexproof for some reason, then Soulscar Mage can play a role in those. Wild Slash, you can get away with playing Shock if it's a budget concern, but the damage prevention clause isn't quite as relevant now with the Simic Nexus deck out of the format, but something that was still important early on in the format, and then obviously Lightning Strike is kind of your most efficient 2-drop spell that can target the face, target planeswalkers, and still target creatures. Some lists have played things like Mizium Mortars, Lava Coil, Roast, or whatever in the main deck, depending on what you feel like you're facing. Obviously, Mizium Mortars can be good in a kind of a go longer game, but I think in the previous version we played, they had several copies of Mizium Mortars. So the reason why I opted for the removal spell suite in the sideboard that we had was partially because I was running into zombies lists and such, mono black aggro, wanted to be able to exile stuff, and also in the red mid-range mirrors, things like Rekindling Phoenix have started to gain some traction. So the ability to exile can be relevant. Similar thing with Magma Spray here, allows you to hit some of the zombies and such. Also pairs nicely with Soulscar Mage to deal with some of the bigger threats. Chandra's Defeat's kind of a necessary evil because the red mirrors are so big. Also get some splash damage against things like Feather and such. Tormod's Crypt is kind of a nod to both the Zombie Rally decks and the Soul Flare decks. Can also potentially come in against something like Lotus Field if you want to try to keep them off of dig through time on a key turn, but really just for those couple of also Dredgeless Dredge. So there's like 2 or 3 decks that having an extra piece of interaction for their kind of explosive nut draws kind of helps. But this can be a hard card to use effectively against Soul Flare simply because they can often go Gather the Pack or Grizzly Salvage into Soul Flare in the same turn, so you may never actually have priority to crack this on key turn. Finally, Scrab Clan Berserker and Chandra Torch of Defiance here. These are kind of for your grindier matchups. Scrab Clan Berserker, I saw somebody bring it in the mirror match. I'm not sure that's correct, but it certainly could be alright, especially on the play. And then Chandra, obviously very good in a lot of spots where it can be a 4-mana removal spell, where kind of the grindier mid-range matchups against control. Scrab Clan Berserker, I think this is pretty much a nod to blue-white control and maybe to the Niv Mizzet decks. Problem is, a lot of the decks that you would consider bringing in Scrab Clan Berserker are packing a bunch of creatures, and it can be hard to get a 2/2 down on turn 3 and can connect for damage. But this is certainly a card, as we've seen with cards like Eidolon the Great Revel and other versions of red decks. This is certainly a card that can add up damage very quickly between its stack ability once it gets renowned and the fact of a 3/3 haster is no joke. So, or 2/2 haster that becomes a 3/3. So that's kind of the wrap up on the deck. Why I chose certain cards. I wanted to check out Torbjorn. He was not in the previous version we played. Unfortunately, I don't think anywhere in the league that we actually played we got a chance to actually leverage him in any meaningful way. So unfortunately, this is a card that I'm still kind of debating the merits of him or something like the Rekindling Phoenix. Kind of depends on just what you're trying to do, whether you're trying to pour on more damage, make your other cards more dynamic, or if you're trying to do a little bit more grinding with something like Rekindling Phoenix. Kind of remains to be seen which one of those cards should be in these red lists. That said, we have 2 more matches for you today. Hope you enjoy them, as they were both quite interesting back and forth. And with that, let's hop into the remaining 2 matches. Okay, here we are for the 4th match in this league. And we're looking at an interesting hand. So if we're up against aggressive deck, we have a pretty solid start. Up against a controlling deck, not the most aggressive hands, but still pretty reasonable overall. That kind of a stop in their deck, generally. So heroic. So goodbye, friend. Some type of heroic aggro hybrid? Bye, friend. Haven't seen this deck floating around. Favored. Maybe it's just Boros Feather with Monster Spear. Boros Feather. Okay, so they are playing Swizzle Spear. As much. I would love to run out Reckless Rage. Nope, no Reckless Rage. Cool. All right. Alright, so no copies of Godless. God's Willing. Yep, yep, yep. Okay. All lands. And that's game. All right. So, we want fries. We want Chandra's defeats. Probably want lava coils and magma sprays. Probably not particularly interested in Toby and the Gobos. Beyond that, three cards that kind of stand out as not great. Most of their stuff is X2s or X3s. So, interesting stuff. Maybe try to shovel a Whirl Boy. It's possible we don't have enough threats, but well, that's a mulligan. This is likely a keep. Bring back a Glory Banger. And go. Sure. It's pretty likely you have something here, right? Only get punished if they happen to have Feather plus protection next turn. Still have another land. Goodbye. Feather, my old friend. Come to chat with you again. Okay. Gideon Blackablade. Sure. Ah. Volt coming in clutch here. Okay. Come on, give me land. Alright, Soul Scavenge is fine. Power up Volt. Alright. There you go. I'm supposed to fire up the Volt there. So we would have been able to glory bang our way to wins here. So we're reconsidering the end of turn Defiant Strike here. Yep, there's another Black Blade. Curious how this... Yep, firing up that Mutavolt's gonna come back to punish us. Sure. One card in hand. Hopefully it's not good. Of course it's Sparkless Rage. Why wouldn't it be, right? Alright. Do we have answers to Gideon Blackblade? Besides Fry. I guess it's possible we could want Rabble Master or Scribe Cam Berserker, but feel like we're just kind of the control deck here. Uh, doesn't feel like Rolls really does a whole lot here. We don't want to cut the early removal against their favorite Hoplite monster, Swizzle Spear, whatever else kind of draws. Stands fine. Not fantastic, but fine. Reckless Rage is just such a dumb card for their deck. We'll have all the lands we want. Can we draw some spells, please? Lands on the battlefield, lands in the graveyards. Can't the turrets your opponents. Okay, sure. Sure. Removal spell, removal spell. Removal spell on a Steak. Sure. Removal spell on a Steak. Okay. screwed up. Pump it up. Sure. Okay. So if you draw a creature, you're just dead. Sure. Who has conceded the game? Nice. Battle back to 2 and 2. One more match to roll. So we are back for the 5th and final match in this league. And it's a little bit on the obviously heavy land side, but with Mutavault and company, I think this hand's fine. So we run into here. I'm trying to pay costs before they play their land. So another Boros Feather deck. Cool. Say hello to my little friend. Drawing a few too many lands now. Cool. Sure. Alright, so all the removal comes in. Rival Masters and Tarn can go out. We shave a Chain Whirler. 2, 4, 8, 12, 14, 16. I shall lot a pointer click and kill. I'd like to play first. Yes. Mulligan. Keep. Question is, what am I putting back here? Obviously, Chandra's defeat is mildly limited in what it can do. Soulscar, and go. Okay, sure. That's what I wanted, a 5-drop. Goodbye, friend. Yep. Really could use some pressure now. Okay, or you can concede before I submit pressure. Sure. So this hand is debatable. Not a lot of early interaction. So we keep it. Definitely die if they have a hoplite on one. Swizzle Spear was less scary. but still very dangerous. Sure. I see. Of course you draw on the land. Okie dokie. I play my Bone Crusher Giant and say go. Sure. Gird for battle. Alright, so I think we're just going to run out our glory bangers and try to end this game, man. Okay, I'm not really sure what you're hoping to draw here, friend. Alright, well, turns out having a boatload of removal is pretty good against Mono Red. Or not Mono Red, against Boros Feather. Yeah. Don't think I have any much to say about the configuration. Our first couple of losses were to the mirror and to blue-white control. Some were to some poor mulligan decisions, some were to 1 billion rekindling phoenixes. So, deck's powerful, it's proactive, ton of removal, great threats, double as answers a lot of the times. Yeah. I think the first couple of things, some poor mulligan decisions and some variants hit us, and I think on the back end we got lucky a little bit with some variants ourselves. So our opponents with the Feathers deck went a little bit all in there. Game number 2 got punished by exactly Chandra's defeat, and then kind of something similar happened in another game there where they kept kind of a gritty one-lander. Certainly seemed like it had a lot of potential. They were trying to go like Gird for battle, do some stuff. Trade your 1-drop from a 3-drop, and then I have the 1-drop to answer your other 1-drop that has a bonus counter on it. and then Derby Dragons. So sometimes Derby Dragons is good enough. So, anywho, this has been John for MTG Nexus, finishing up our second league with Chonky Monkeys and our third overall red league here this week in Pioneer. If you like what you're seeing on the channel, please consider subscribing, give a thumbs up, and a constructive comment down below. And if you like the 50 for 50 plan we're doing, which is 50 decks, 25 in Modern, 25 in Pioneer, kind of breaking them down, playing them from the ground up, and kind of showing some people kind of the basics of each and every deck. So if you don't have a ton of time to prepare for tournaments and test decks, you can kind of get a feel for what decks do. If you like that program and would like to support the channel, please consider visiting our Patreon page. And as always, if you want to reach me, both our Discord and Twitter, I'm fairly active on both, so feel free to contact me there if you have any questions. This has been John for MTG Nexus.